those emergency boxes on college campuses, but they've become old and costly. And as the Now's Jason Grenauer shows us, CU is looking to go high-tech to keep students safe.
My name is Jasper Dean. I am 20 years old, and I am a tour guide at CU Boulder. A lot of adults know what the blue light system is, and some kids aren't really as familiar. But what the blue light system is it's a system that a lot of college campuses have or used to have, where if you're ever feeling endangered on campus, or you might need to call the police or something like that, on every single light pole there was a light or a button that you would hit, and it would alert authorities, and they'd come to your rescue in a certain amount of time, usually less than 3 or 5 minutes. And so CU used to have the blue light system as its system for on-campus safety, but we actually got rid of that and instead just devote all of that funding into CU's own police department. And we already had a police department, like CUPD, the specific CU one, but they just really ramped that up just because they had all this money from the blue light system that they could increase police campus with. So campus security officers have a really large presence on campus. There's police, that were, just, spawning into my dorm last year. There was, there's campus security officers basically at all hours of the day, sort of just making sure, the correct doors are locked and all of that. So, I do think, with the added police presence in the actual dorms, I think the majority of their use is alcohol or marijuana related. I wanted to say 50% of people I know have MIPs. I would say probably less. It's probably 30%. No, I don't think it makes me feel safer as a student. And I also am aware that greater police presence for a lot of different communities doesn't really mean or equate to safety. I think in CU's case, it doesn't make me feel unsafe, and I don't think the culture or vibe of the police presence makes people feel unsafe, but I don't think it adds a huge feeling of safety to dorms, just because really what the unsafe things that go on in the dorms do happen behind those closed doors. And while the police, can curb some levels of belligerency, there's really little they can do. Obviously, I think there's benefit to enforcing rules in dorms. I don't really think giving most kids MIPs changes their drinking habits, particularly for their first year of college.
My name is Kai. I am 21, and I got 2 MIPs in my life. An MIP is a citation for being in the possession of alcohol underage. And possession includes being drunk under the age of 21, because technically it's in your blood, so technically you are in possession of alcohol. I was 18 when I started being able to drink legally in Europe. I have family over there, so I sort of already had developed normal drinking, like social practices and habits, I guess. I wouldn't say that getting my MIPs ever deterred me from drinking. It made me more afraid, sort of, to drink. It made it feel more like like I was doing something wrong or doing something bad, which, of course, most of the student body, I think, drinks, and most people have drank underage. So it did deter me, at least. Maybe somebody, learns from it, but the courses were okay, but for somebody who drinks, like moderately and safely, it didn't really do anything to me. My best guess would be maybe 1 out of 10, but I think many more than that drink underage or have drank underage. I have mixed feelings about the police in the U.S. just in general, but specifically having them in the residence halls. While you're a freshman, the residence hall is sort of your safe space. It's your home. Having police constantly walking around the hallways or coming in sort of just puts you on edge a little bit. Not that you need to be on edge if you're not doing anything bad, but it feels almost like your privacy is being invaded a little bit just because you have police officers walking down the halls. knocking on doors or whatever it is. I think on paper, the main purpose is probably to keep students safe and keep threats out of the dorm. But I think practically, they probably deal mostly with instances of underage drinking or underage substance use, and I think that's what they probably write by far most citations for. Those cases usually. And a police officer will come, but call EMTs. I think there's specific cases, yes, and there's always that big looming what if something were to happen at the dorm, somebody were to break in. But we've still had incidents happen at the dorms, even with police presence. So it's kind of a tricky question. But yeah, I don't know that I personally feel safer with the police around. First time I received my MIP was actually from the Boulder Police Department, and that was completely understandable. I was carrying an open container of alcohol on the hill. The time that I received an MIP from the campus police, I was in somebody's dorm drinking responsibly, and there was a noise complaint, and somebody the police officer knocked on the door, and then somebody opened the door, and then they saw the can. And I was with some other people, and they all got citations through campus, but since I had already had an MIP, the police officer had to send me back to court, and I had to pay another fine and go through a lot of classes. And that was very stressful, especially over the summer, because all the classes had been booked up as well. There's something to be said about that as well. The amount of MIPs that people get and being sent to these classes and the amount of classes available over the summer, that was a really big issue. And there's a lot at stake if you do not get those done. So it was stressful, and it didn't necessarily teach me anything except for maybe to be more wary of police officers and where they are and try to hide from them more, which I don't think is the right takeaway there. But logically, I was being responsible. Everybody was being moderate. We weren't even being that loud. So it was kind of just like going through the motions of what I was supposed to do. And again, like I've said a couple times, I don't think that I necessarily got anything out of value relating to alcohol and my own consumption, because I already feel like I'm in a pretty good place with that.
Perfect.
I don't see that adding more police officers is going to do anything, but maybe boost the number of write-ups. I like the idea that we have police somewhere on the campus. I don't think that they need to be actively patrolling the dorms all the time. I think it should be in case of an emergency situation, because most of the time, the police aren't the ones who are like catching the crimes in general. It's an RA or a student that reports something to an RA who then notifies the on-campus police. So I don't know that we need more police. I haven't heard anything about us being understaffed with police officers or having so much crime.
Hi, my name is Bin. I'm 19 years old and I have received an MIP. In my experience, I do not believe that giving out MIPs keeps the student body safe. I wish we would allocate our funds towards somewhere else. As a student, it kind of makes me a little bit more nervous. I don't think that having the police wandering around the dorms, especially late at night, is really something that makes me feel safer. I think maybe trying to have more security around the dorms. I think the police are there mostly just for busting kids with alcohol. Yeah, so I definitely think their main purpose was I don't think that they're not advocating it as giving MIPs out and trying to crack down on kids that are drinking alcohol, but I think that's definitely what they are doing when they are patrolling the dorms. I do not think it's a super effective way for safety of the student body. I think they definitely need to be putting more funds into sexual assault cases and making sure that students are more safe in that realm, especially since it is such a big thing on college campuses. And I think they're more focusing on cracking down kids that are drinking alcohol, when I think that MIPs aren't going to be stopping any kid from continuing what they're doing.